It's Jill here. So I had started a recording of a video and it went about 6 minutes before it got cut off. So I had to uninstall Spotify and Kindle and delete a bunch of stuff just to keep doing this. So yeah, Jill here. Don't have an exact age, just older. Probably 29 because I was born the most recent as far as I know. I was born in an abusive relationship 5 months ago. So I am a gatekeeper, which means that I internally am responsible for choosing who comes up and when. Me and Ray are both gatekeepers. Ray's been around from the very beginning and was the first split, and they call me the newborn because I was born at a 29-year-old age, which is what the body is right now. So I think Sadie, who was up earlier, she wanted to make a video. Everyone was thinking of ideas of what to make as a video, because we want to, on top of the video entries that everyone does, their little diary entries, we also want to have some information to help educate people. You know, there is the internet, there are books, there are pages on YouTube, other channels and stuff that are helpful, but we understand that as much as that information is out there, it's a lot, and that can be used from those places, that information, but this is our inner family, so our inner family is going to be very unique to itself, just like other people's inner family. And when I say inner family, I'm referring to all of us alters in here. So something that everyone was struggling to figure out how to talk about today, and probably why I am here now, is bullying. So I'm stern and protective, so I gotta try and keep it cool. I want to mention first, we have supportive friends in our life. We have an amazing supportive partner. We have a very supportive sponsor and a few other friends, some multiples, that we're very close with. And we're very fortunate in that way. There's no way I'm going to say here that we are unlucky or shower myself in self-pity. We have a lot of beautiful things in our life. So most of us in here, all we really yearn for when we're awake is that we are just treated like people. Because we are people. I am not Elise, but I am a state of consciousness. I am a personality. I'm a fully formed person in here. And we've recently had a whole subsystem of alters come up, meaning like enter consciousness, and we've counted over 30 alters in total that we have now. So there's a lot of extra protectiveness that's come up. And I'm just going to go over some simple things about what kind of treatment is helpful when different parts are up, when any part is up, just all across the boards, how we would like and hope to be treated. This is reality, so not everyone is going to be kind and respectful to a person, even if they're a 1.5-year-old sometimes, or anything like that. But, you know, this is so it's out there. Because we went through some stuff a little while ago, not too long ago, and losing that respect and that kindness from someone who's probably going through a lot themselves, but you know, it caused us to start rapid cycling, rapid switching. So that means we had 5 of us switching places within 10 seconds. Constant switching and exhaustion. You know, when there's that much switching, we get lots of migraines, headaches, physical problems like the back being really sore, back injury possibly being reactivated. The whole body gets achy from how many body postures kind of change around in a day. And there's a lot of depression and sadness, and could lead to more dangerous instability towards ourselves. So in trying to manage that, I think with all the anger that a lot of the alters, especially the kids, have been feeling, and when trying to think of what to do in a video, it's good to just address that. So we have many children, child alters. Most, but not all, have made these little cards. So they have their names, they have some characteristics, their age, things like that. I'm not trying to show you to read, I'm just showing you. And, you know, these are mostly our new kids. There's a lot of them. And I think that what can be confusing sometimes for friends. I don't really know. We do need to hear comments about what is confusing and give us some questions to answer, because just, you know, leaving it in silence is not helping. Sorry, I'm frustrated. So with having this many children, most of them, when they've been coming up, they've been going right back down. So they wake up, they yawn, they look around, and they go right back into the subconscious and wake someone else up. There's so much activity, I don't feel any control over it most of the time these days. I mostly work with the previous inner family, and this is another inner family. And I know a chief issue that is talked about in there is that they wake up and they think that the environment is not ready for a kid, that people might not respect that they're a kid, that they're going to freak people out, that they're going to freak people out until they don't want to be near us, and that there will be no friends in the end or people to be close to. And unfortunately, to a certain degree, that can be accurate. And it's not any fault of theirs. I wouldn't say it's any fault of anyone's exactly. But since we've been revealing more about this family of ours, all these alters, there's been less contact with most of our friends. Some have stopped speaking to us entirely, with no conversation. So that really hurts, and this isn't some sort of, you know, like burn book video entry here, but they do need someone to stand up for them. And, you know, it can be difficult. Like, imagine waking up out of a coma, and last thing you remember was when you were 16 years old, when you went into this coma, and you still have the same interests, you still have the same moods, you still have the same, you're still the same person in that sense, but the body is aged. If you woke up from a coma and someone just kind of looked at you and said, okay, are you not Elise? Okay, cool. And then just left it. You'd still be very confused, afraid, and unsure of what to do. And why we want to work on some form of communicating with people to make this a little bit better is because that can be unsafe for us. As far as safety issues go, in order for us to be hospitalized in here, we would have to absolutely be right about to threaten our life, because the hospitals are not, the staff in hospitals in the psychiatric ward are not trained for DID. We were there a year ago, and one of the kids, at the time not really knowing why they were feeling like a kid and being treated like an adult, it was mandatory that she give the condom on the banana instruction in a sex ed group that they did, and she wasn't allowed to go in her room and read her Stuart Little books, and this is what she had to do. There were forced PRNs, meaning there were forced sedatives, because they thought that we were manic when we had child parts that were waking up, that were really energetic and happy to be in a safe environment. So our safety really needs to be maintained the best we can possibly do on our own, and when we can with help from supports. So that is our last resort option. And We also don't have a counselor at the moment now. Our counselor has had to disclose ethically that she cannot treat us because she has not treated DID before. She has contacted every counselor in this area, and nobody will treat DID. Our psychiatrist has diagnosed us informally, but can't find anyone else to help give us some direction. She's been contacting people throughout BC and hasn't found anyone. So after we did a lot of emailing and contacting therapy places throughout BC, we found that the only way that they can treat it is if you're living in the lower mainland, and even then it's hard to get in. So this has caused a lot of feeling of lack of safety. So there's been a lot of stuff going on lately that's been freaking people out. So we'll use a little schoolyard analogy. So, try and keep this normal here. So, in our schoolyard, I put just some of our youngest alters. We have Elise over here, who's our core. She's not up very much, but she's been coming up a bit lately. So this is the original personality. She's 3 years old. She's usually very happy to be here. She's just happy to be in 2018. Great attitude, lots of gratitude. We have August as well, who's 1.5, who is identified as a male and has identified some other horrible things, but August cannot speak, doesn't know how to. He is pre-verbal and is generally scared when he's up because he can't walk. Taylor is 3. Taylor is a selective mute, so she can't talk from anxiety. She is a dancer, she's crafty, she's kind, she's a nature girl, she's very active. Riley is 3 years and 3 months. She has specified this. 3 years and 3 months. And Riley is also pretty active. She's caring, she's playful, she's cooperative. She made a postcard for Tony the other day, using stickers with the help of a friend. We have Daisy. Daisy ranges between 4 and 14. We've seen her at 4 years old, 7 years old, and 14 years old. So Daisy is typically at 4 years old. She is very joyful, she's very funny, she's very artistic, and she's completely comfortable running around and saying that she's a child. Elizabeth is our other original split. So we have Ray and Elizabeth. So Elizabeth ranges from 4 to, I don't know what age, old. When she is up, she is our vault opener. She will share a lot of trauma stuff. She will share a lot of information about alters. She's very vocal. And then we have Anna, who's either 4 or she's 18, sorry. When she's 18, she's Annabelle. So Anna is incredibly shy. She can be very afraid of adults, very afraid of people, but she's a little sweetheart, and she's very tender and caring. So you can imagine this as the schoolyard. So in a schoolyard, if you had a bunch of kids kind of kicking around, you know, let's just say like someone comes in and they start bullying one of these kids. Let's just say they start bullying Taylor. So in an actual schoolyard, at actual child body size, if this kid was getting bullied, whether she had trouble speaking or not, and Taylor doesn't speak, you know, she'd probably go to the principal, tell them about it, tell a teacher, she'd have to write it out to them, she'd have to deal with, you know, frustrations that they might have with not being able to hear her, whatever it is, but she'd be able to, as a child at a child's age who doesn't have dissociative difficulties, stay around long enough to come up with a solution with them and to observe things next time and to make sure she's safe, make sure she doesn't get pushed around or anything like that, to learn how to deal with those things. In this case, though, it is an adult body, so people can be bullying or unkind or talking to a 3-year-old who can't speak, like she's just being stubborn or pretending that she's her age or whatever the case may be, but the tendency is they get left behind because it's too confusing for others. You know, there's just a number of factors here that if it was an actual child's body, these children would be treated much better, and if they weren't treated well, they would be awake and present long enough that they could come up with a solution and go through various resources. I'm trying to make this make sense, but I'm also dissociated. So, here's the problem. When a child is awake and they're being bullied and they want help and they think they know what the problem is and they have to tell an adult or they have to talk about it, and then half an hour later they're gone, they can't really do much about it. The next time they wake up, they don't know if it's been resolved. If it has been resolved, they don't know what the new boundaries they have are. They don't know if they're still friends with that person. They don't know what to do, and they need to be informed, which can happen. But say this one goes away because she can't do anything about it, and she just dissociates, right? And say we got Kimberly here who wakes up. Maybe Kimberly finds a solution, and like these alters, they do work together and they can find solutions and they keep plugging away and they are resilient as crap. And that can be helpful when everybody in here is treated with just the bare minimum of consideration. Then eventually, when that one wakes up again, the one who was originally bullied, she's going to feel very comfortable and confident that she can continue to just be a person and to live her life. Because she'll have shared a bit of consciousness with her sisters or brothers, and she'll know that, that intuitive reinforcement. So how to be respectful of that? If someone wakes up, treat it like someone who literally just woke up. When someone is switching, when we are switching, the eyes roll up to where they're retrieving memory of something that's triggering that age, like a swing set. I'm 29. I may see a swing set, and then all of a sudden it's reminding me of being a kid. My eyes roll up to retrieve that memory of being a kid. All of a sudden I'm a kid. But in that switch, you actually go unconscious, and then a new consciousness, a new state, alter state, wakes up. So treating someone exactly like they are, like someone who is just waking up, who might take a little while to remember their name, their age, who might not even know their name or age if they're under a lot of stress, and just be kind. You don't have to go out of your way or do a bunch of things, but to just show some welcomeness, like, hey, like, oh, okay, you're here, cool. If you woke up and someone was like, did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I was just telling you about the bank statement? Like, it wouldn't be pleasant, and you wouldn't feel very welcome. You wouldn't want to wake up around that person again. And, you know, not everybody in the system needs to be friends with everybody. But that bare minimum of respect is very important. And, you know, something that we have struggled with and had to learn about boundaries is those that are not going to respect them, as much as, you know, the term ice queen has been dropped on me many times in my life, those aren't people we can have in our life. And it's not because it's a little bothersome, it's because it's unsafe. And, you know, all these kids in here, every part of us in here, you know, we're born in trauma. So we want to just have the same acceptance as everyone else so that we can get a little away from our original role of surviving trauma and start to enjoy life, which can lead to integration a little bit later on as we get to know each other in here and we feel safe to come up. You know, there's a lot of not wanting to pick up the phone in here because someone might switch the subject or just hang up as soon as they hear any mention of, oh, it's me, or like, oh, Scarlett was up, or whatever it is. And remember, I'm doing this video right now like fairly dissociated because I do not come up very often, so I'm hoping I'm conveying it carefully But, you know, just suffice to say, there doesn't need to be, you don't need to know everything about DID to be respectful of us. You don't have to, completely give up and know nothing either. We have a very isolated life, a very, very private life, and a lot of parts that wake up in the day and feel like they just exist solely to exist, just to take a chair, kind of. And so I guess I ask, if you don't understand something about DID, if you don't understand something about an altar, that you ask, please ask. Like, this channel is meant to be, you know, one where you can drop some questions and we can do something about that. There's nothing wrong with not knowing, but acting as if you know that can be wrong. That can cause a lot of pain and a lot of problems. And if there is an issue you're having with anyone in here, just tell us. If there is an issue, if there is a concern, if there's a fear, if you find this intimidating, if you find any of the altars scary or anything like that, please talk about it with us. Because without knowing, we can't actually clarify anything. And if there's a mistake someone's made, they might not have been up for like a week or more. So they can't own that and be responsible for it unless they know a lot of the time. So just that clear communication is really helpful. If there's something you don't want to hear about, that you're being talked to about, like the trauma stuff or anything like that, I ask that you please communicate that clearly. Changing the subject or distancing or things like that, you know, as much as there's a lot of difficulties in here and a lot of concentration problems and memory problems, we still want to be treated like other people, and in that respect we want the consideration of knowing if something's bothering someone, rather than the assumption that we're just bothersome. And I guess I could make mark of that last piece that's come in lately, and that's, if you think we're faking it, please remove yourself. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. In the case of doubting the DID and doubting altars existing and thinking we're making it up or pretending or something like that, it can be devastating over here. It's not very realistic that we would want to make up being 1.5 years old and not able to walk or speak and identified as a male. You know, or different things that can be embarrassing, like not being able to speak, or, you know, some of the kids are more slobbish. There's various ways unintentionally that we can be embarrassed by ourselves in here, and we try not to do that. We try and be supportive and recognize that we have different kids. We have some very hyperactive teenagers, some very timid adults, and everyone has trauma attached to them. So that's not something that benefits us in any way whatsoever. You know, I'm in a relationship, and we have, I think, 4 male altars, and he's straight. So that's not something that we would make up to gain anything. There's nothing we could get from that. So I think that middle ground of not knowing if people have an issue, or if they just happen to be so busy that we barely hear from them anymore, or we never hear from them anymore, that is more stressful than just sending a text or making a call and saying, hey, like, I don't really want to have anything to do with you. Your altars freak me out. I think you're making it up. Or, hey, I do want to have something to do with you. I want to have relationships with parts of you, but I'm scared, or I don't get it, or I don't understand how this works. Just please don't fall into the unspoken category. It's a bit of a plea right now. Because at this point, you know, most alters wake up, they don't know who to call. They are trying to remember the last time anyone in here remembers speaking to someone, and we've had hardly any contact with who used to be our main friends for quite some time now. And this isn't something we've been living with full awareness our entire life. A lot of the awareness has come in the last 4 months, and it came out of a very abusive situation. So that's pretty much all I got. A little feisty, so I kind of just want to get angry and like target people, and but like that's not what we're trying to do. There's acceptance in here, there's love in here, and when there's not, someone else wakes up and they've got it. So thank you for watching, and I hope that that wasn't too interrogative or too accosting. I don't know words, but grateful for anyone who's watching the channel. Appreciate comments of any kind so we understand where it goes inside of your heads. Thanks.